Hi, it's Quincy at Sylvan Farms. It's the day after Easter 2026. A beautiful spring day. The leaves are just starting to pop on the trees. I am just done feeding the last group of pigs on our route through the pastures, and I'm going to be heading back. And I would like to just make a very quick, unedited video on kind of methods that we've found that work for us, at least on our 40 acres, and we're only using about 6 acres total for pigs right now. Different equipment that we've accumulated and what we like, methods, behavioral aspects of dealing with pigs and stuff. So I'm going to try and make this video as quick as I can without having to sit down and edit and splice. So I'll just be pausing in between. Everything is going to be like random seeming, but I just want to pack it in as I'm heading back to the barns. So bear with me. I'm just going to go quick and show quick shots of things that I want to point out along the way. So let me flip this around. So this is our Tamworth breed, a heritage breed. Heritage breeds are wonderful because their genetics had never been really introduced to like Asian genetics that bred to like consume grains and confinement and stuff like that. So they are a foraging breed from northern UK and Ireland, Irish grazing pig they were called. So anyway, these are our registered Tamworth sows. They're about 4 or 5 years old. Each have had at least a couple of litters. We're gonna hopefully get to breeding these ladies too. We also have a couple registered boars, and if we can find piglets that are born from their litters that meet conformation standards to the breed, then we'll be able to sell piglets as well as feeder hogs. Their meat is superior. They're known as the bacon breed. I have never actually tasted it yet, but our organic feed mill owners bought one from us and said it was the best meat that they've ever had. So promising. Anyway, I just want to give a quick shot of our 2 strands of 17 gauge smooth high tensile electric fence wire on red rod posts and rod insulators, spaced for elevation changes, using T-posts to kind of carry the load every time we have to kind of make a turn or an up or down bend. So this system we found is working really well, and if we want to take a bigger paddock like this one, which is I'd say 0.8 or 9 acres I think, you can use Premier 1 fencing, which I just happen to have a bunch of rolls of. This is the Premier 1 quick pig fence, or the pig quick fence, 30 inch. But it's got 5 strands of coated wire that tends to ground out as the pigs kind of like to root up along the bottom of it and scoop it up onto the bottom strand. So it works better for the mature pigs because they don't root as much as the teenager pigs. We have a variety of solar chargers that right now all of our fences are on solar. We're finding that your biggest thing to keep your fence really nice and hot, to keep your pigs conditioned to not messing with the fence, is having a really good ground rod. Get it really deep, and then especially during dry spells to keep it watered. So we're actually going to start kind of digging a bowl around the base of our ground rods as the weather gets warmed up, and just filling that up with water. So right now our side-by-side is down for repairs. So we're using the kids' high school vehicle. They've been The girls have each gotten their new cars. So we brought this one down because it's rusty and figured it would make a good farm rig, and it does actually. So you can put fencing material up on top or throw these rubber bowls up there to bring them up to the barn and get them washed out or swap them around or whatever. We carry as little water as possible, but sometimes it's necessary. A couple of little blue barrels, I think those are 15 or 20 gallons. Just dump those into a bucket, and then we do have have buckets for feeding. So right now we go through about 7 5-gallon buckets for our 60 or so pigs per feeding. So that's like 175 pounds per feeding, and we feed twice a day. So we're feeding 350 pounds of like premium non-soy organic grain. We'll probably be switching down to non-soy, non-GMO, but not organic, because without having to go through the hassle, cost, headache of getting our farm certified as USDA organic, we just figured the non-GMO is really what we're most concerned about, because most non-GMO growers are using organic or maybe even better than organic practices, but don't want to have to pay and deal with all the reporting and stuff. So anyway, we'll be switching our feed to non-GMO and getting off the organic to save costs. It's going to save us possibly up to 45%. So otherwise we're going to price ourselves right out of the market and or eat a bunch of costs, which I think we already are going to by the time we get these pigs sold. Anyway, I just want to note these pig huts we've built all ourselves. I can send you a PDF, or I put it in the comments below this video. Fairly easy to make. When we first started making them, they were like $250 in materials, and with costs increasing, they're probably more like $325 now. If you make them yourself, plus you have to invest in a 6-foot radius pipe bender. And they're made with what they call top rail for chain link fences that you bend into those ribs, and then use the same top rail to make the 2 skids. And then there's like lateral supports on the 3 sides there to hold the bottoms of the sheet panels down. So those are each 3 panels of metal roofing, 8 feet long, overlapped, ribbed. And that cost is, by kind of digging out of the clearance pile at the local builder supply place, that, we're getting like 30 or 40% off because it's like contractor extras or whatever. So not being too picky about things matching, but, trying to get a solid color on at least, like per hut, one color. So anyway, those are really nice. They're easy to move with a hitch on the side-by-side or the Subaru. You just hook a rope or a chain onto, there's like little hooks on the ends of the skids, or if you had to, you could clip them onto those front 2 legs and drag them around. They're actually not too bad to move by hand as well. So I'm thinking about making a modified version of that for pasture chicken coop that we would move daily for like 15 hens per hut for layers. And we're not really thinking about doing broilers yet, but maybe. Anyway, here's some more Tamworths. These are Tamworths that we got as piglets in October 2024, so they're a little over a year and a half old and about 400 pounds a piece. Those two blonde ladies in there, those are some Mongolitsas that just got thrown in with these Tamworths because they were the same size as the Tamworths were when we brought our pigs to the farm. They were 3 months old when our Tamworths were 2 months old, so we just kept them together as a group because, yeah, anyway, I'm pausing and we'll go on to the next. So we used these 55-gallon blue barrel drums sometimes on a base, but not always. I'll show you, but they've got 3 of these metal nipples on there for it's a little valve. They press down on it with their front palate or lips or teeth, and it drools into their mouth. They like to hold those valves down and create little lakes right there, but that's whatever, they have to walk through that in order to drink their water. We usually have lids on here, but right now they're getting kind of shoddy, so we need to order some more material to make new ones, and then they'll get set on there with a metal band, clasped metal lid band, and the material that you use is like a super cheap shower wall liner from any kind of big box home goods store. These are our spring gates. They're a little expensive, but they're just phenomenal. I really like them. I think they're worth the investment at about $20 a piece. And then these 3-hole actuators from PowerFlex are like $3.84 or something a piece, but they're super nice. So what happens is, like, you can take this off, and this is got like a jumper lead on it, so this wire is connected to this wire with this lead, and then we got this little tail, so when this is on there, it's activating the fence. Right now this spring gate is deactivated because it's on this insulator here, and you can just hang them up when you need to go in and out. And there's another couple of really cool applications for these that I'll show you in just a little bit, but this system works, especially, let's see, I'll show you in a moment. This fence doesn't have it, but this one does. So you can see this insulated tube is underground leading to that fence over there, so that you have continuous conductivity from this side of the fence and that side of the fence. If you disconnect both of these, it doesn't cut the circuit, it's continued underground. So that's also really helpful, so that you don't have a compromised fence situation while you're in the middle of a moving operation or whatever. We find that putting in 2 T-posts and banding these barrels to them allows the pigs to, they like to rub on the barrels quite a bit. And we've had, without, the first time we had these barrels on pasture was with those big Tamworth sows over there. They're like almost 500 pounds each. They were able to pop, just like push this whole barrel over onto the fence in a different paddock, but they're really strong. But these 2 posts, the females are kind of horny sometimes. They get a little snarky when they're in estrus. So anyway, that's not it. I want to show you this really quick. We picked this up, something that the guy that we bought our Tamworth from, and our livestock trailer, our feed trailer, and this trailer, plus a bunch of his other equipment, because he was getting out of pigs, we were able to basically buy his whole operation for like $20,000 for everything. But having this 175-gallon IBC with a jacket to keep the algae down inside the IBC, I'd like to maybe paint it white or put a white shroud on it to kind of reflect heat for the summer. but a nice big PV panel. I forget what the voltage is on that, but on a little motorcycle trailer. And then it's got plumbing to a pump, and switch turns it on, and hook a garden hose up to it, and that's how we fill the barrels that are out here farthest away from our underground black pipe water delivery system, which I'll show you a little bit more of in a second. Those are some of our bigger Mongolitas sleeping in a porta hut. So we got 4 nice, really nice condition porta huts also from our good friend Harry, who we bought our operation from. He sold those to us for $500 a piece, and there's some extra like farrowing equipment that kind of attaches onto those to the side rails, and there's a front gate, and you can attach it to other gates and stuff like that, and some wooden deck platforms so that piglets aren't subjected to wet conditions. You can see they kind of burrow around in there, and it makes a dish, and if any water gets in there, it makes this huge puddle. We did lose one piglet because of that situation on pasture, our first litter born on pasture. It was really unfortunate. It was just like an all-night crazy storm, and we had one of the regular huts that we've been making, and water just poured right into the dish that Mama made when she had her piglets, and yeah, unfortunately we lost one, so we learned our lesson there. That's Hazel. So we also made 10-foot long 2x6 constructed troughs. Angling the walls out a little bit really helps them, like they kind of need room for their snouts to get in there. If you don't do that, they'll tend to just climb into the trough, and so they can eat sideways out of it, and they'll just get their whole body, all 4 feet in the trough, and then nobody else can get into the food at the trough. So one pig can dominate a trough, and it just kind of we're going to be kind of seeking some solutions to kind of divide the trough up so they can't butt each other out of the way or stand in it and dominate the trough, and just like give everybody a good 16 to 18 inches per division for their own feed. So if you do make those troughs, just take the time to take a hole bit and drill like a 1/2 inch hole on either end to let water drain out, because when it rains they do hold water as the wood swells, and you're not going to lose any significant amount of grain if you have a couple of holes in it. But it's really difficult to feed them in there when it's like 4 or 5 inches deep of water. They're hungry, and you can't put your bucket down to dump it over. So yeah, just take the time to drill some holes in. We also made these water troughs out of, that's one, I think that's a 20-gallon barrel cut into thirds and then attached to a 2x4 frame, and there are a couple of 2x4 struts, I think along the bottom, that those are also screwed down too, and then they're like screwed and bolted to each other. So those are really easy to clean with a pressure washer. And yeah, like the little ones like to get in it a lot, but it's perfect for the big pigs who are just a lot more chill. So we do have water piped out here to the pasture. This is between our south pasture and our north pasture. So this has got black pipe plumbed in to about where you see that side by side up there, there's a frost-free tree hydrant there, and then it goes beyond that side by side to our well house. So the pasture has its own pump from the well, and then our house is on a separate pump. We do have hard water, but it's, out here it's not that big of a deal. Right now we're running hose, so these are like 200-foot hoses from that tree hydrant to get out this far. So we're like, I think about 300 feet from there right now, and then using another hose to feed or to water these guys. We've got another group down there. There's another hose to hook up right there to get down to that blue barrel. Way down there, we've got IPP sows up there, or just down the hill. These are our little Mongolitas. They're born last July, so they're about 9 months old. We moved them from that paddock that's all browned and turned over that they were in for probably 8 weeks over the winter. We knew we didn't want to move pigs a lot during the winter, and we kind of wanted to clear this out a little bit so that we can reseed it with more pig-friendly things for the pasture. This we're basically converting this cow pastures to swine pastures. This green area here was 5 IPP sows who are down there. They were on this the same amount of time that the 11 little Mangalitas, they were like 6 months old at the time that we put them all over there. You can see it's more about like the age, like the teenager age, that 6 to 10 months. They're really, really active, especially the Mongolita. And this is one of the reasons, as much as we really love their character, they're really wonderful pigs to raise, and their meat is delicious. Their fat is the healthiest fat on the planet. They're just really, really destructive. So we're like, where do we want to put them where it's not going to mess up our pasture? Well, this area that's in front of me is just beyond this paddock, and I wanted to kind of keep this open as we are going to be changing our fence lines, and I wanted kind of an area for us to be able to turn around, or kind of make it a multi-use space, but for things that we don't know what that is yet. So right now we're using it as a temporary paddock, but the plan was to turn this whole area that's fenced in with the white Premier One fence, and have them to deliberately turn it over to, like the max, and I'll be planting this as a pumpkin patch so that we can feed our pigs summer squash, zucchini, cantaloupe, cucumbers, acorn squash, all the squashes, to pie pumpkins, and then late fall we'll be able to harvest big jack-o'-lantern pumpkins, so that they're going to be in squash for most of the season. We'll have enough harvested at the late season to put up over the winter months too. So the idea being that's just a great nutrient source for them, and the seeds contain cucurbin, which is a natural dewormer. So good fiber for them, lots of great vitamins and minerals, and a natural dewormer. Right now we have been worming them as needed with Safeguard, which is a fenbendazole, and then also duramectin, which is a same compound as ivermectin. But I think we don't do it, but maybe every 6 months, or if we see signs. And I don't have a microscope, but I don't think our pigs have worms. In fact, I know they don't, because we had 4 hogs processed, and I asked the butcher while I was on the floor during the butchering if there was any indication that our pigs had worms, and he said no, they were very clean. So this is one of the reasons why rotating your pigs around is essential. that they're whatever they're leaving around, they're not living in it. Those by moving them, you're moving the host environment for pathogens to kind of form, because they disintegrate, break down, and get consumed by other things. We'll also be, like I said, wanting to put our chickens out on pasture. So like we're gonna take these pigs off of here and move them over there, and then we'll bring our chickens in here and have them go through all of their droppings and stuff. So if there is any parasite load in their feces, those chickens are going to scratch it up, dry it out, or eat it and fertilize this even more. So that's kind of the glory too of having multi-species going around on pasture, one after another. So with the boars, we're just kind of the ilk that we don't trust boars to be in a paddock only defined by the 2-wire thing. So wherever the boars are going to go, they're going to have hog panel, solid fencing, physical fence all the way around. And we are going to build them another bigger boar pen down by the pond that will be quadranted off so that we can rotate them between pens. They've been in these pens for a year now, and it's not healthy for them. They're doing okay, they're fine, but this is what we could afford to put up quickly as we made our sales transaction to buy them. And so we will need to make kind of like farrowing. This will be able to be used as a farrowing pen. There's a gate in the middle. That one boar will be in here with a couple of ladies, and then another boar will be down there with a couple of ladies, and they can each have their litters and be with their baby mamas and new litters of piglets, while the other 2 ladies are kind of out on pasture. Actually, we have 4 of our little baby tamers that I was showing you, the real golden ones. There's 4 females in that group that we're going to set aside to breed as well, just to mix up the genetics too. So we'll be breeding no more than 4 sows at once. And even though a pig can have 3 litters a year about, we'll probably plan on no more than 2 litters per year kind of thing, just to give them some rest in between. Anyway, each of these big boys has their own big charger on their own line, so that we can turn one off, put one of these guys in the other guy's pen, close the gate, and be able to work on this fence. There's some repairs that need to be done, and fill in this hole that's always full of algae in the summer. That's not good for him. Kind of reset their sheds. Those sheds were really fun to make. Those are pallets. So there's, I think, 4 pallets on the bottom, and then stick frame walls, and yeah, just like and sheet metal, and then we got like sheet metal corners too, because they rub a lot, and they didn't have anything else to rub on in here, so we wanted to make sure they could rub on their house. So yeah, that's the boars. I wanted to show you the difference between, this is about, I think we paid Harry $3,000 for this trailer, but and that's because it was fully, like, nothing was wrong with it. Even the lighting worked and everything. So all the doors operated. It was painted over so it didn't get too rusty. Had a nice spare tire on it, and the floor deck is in good shape, really good shape. Harry did a lot of the work on this, rewiring and replatforming the floor. So that's a probably $2,600 to $3,000 trailer. And this thing, we bought this for $600, but